Like, bro. Grand rising to the chat, grand rising to the family, grand rising to the tribe, to the collective. This video is in reference to the May 1st document that was put out by the Secretary, I want to say Treasury, but I know that's not right. The Secretary of the Surgeon General, or something to that effect, government agency type of person. This is a legit government article in reference to the loneliness epidemic. So I know like people would imagine that being alone is normal. You know, self preservation being the number one law and things of that nature. But on this channel, I really strive on bringing people together. This is why, my homeboys tend to get vagine, because I bring people together. I'm like good luck Chuck. A lot of my friends, I seen a lot of my friends get a lot of ass. You know what I'm saying? Seen a lot of my friends connect with a lot of girls. Cause me, I'm a relationship type of guy, but I'm also somewhat like flirty, lovable, lover type of archetype. So, you know, I get my sabbatic goat on. I'm always flocked by a gang of witches. So, with that being said, the homies, they be like, damn, can I get one? And I'll be like, sure, they not mine. They free. You feel me? With all of that being said, I bring people together. So, if you need love today, listen to this video. Feel me? If you want to learn about the spiritual implications, because when we talk about things in life, like if I said, a lace front, and you look to the left of you and your girl had on a lace front, how did I know she had a lace front on? Because we talking about a spirit. If I say, long lashes that's 6 inches long, and you look to the right and your girl got eyelashes that can cut you in the throat, that's because it's a spirit. You understand? So here at this channel, we deal with a lot of spirituality, man. And I don't want to sell you anything. I don't want to promote anything. I mean, you see the Cash App, but you don't gotta donate nothing to the Cash App if you don't want to. I really want you to get some ass this weekend. I really want you to get some good loving this weekend, man. I don't want you to be alone, right? Because if you spend money with me, it's no guarantee that you're going to get some pussy, right? Is there? But if you understand the spirit of isolation versus the spirit of togetherness, you might get some ass. And you can ask my friends. A lot of my friends went from no ass to getting ass. Because I'm good luck Chuck. So that's the spirit of this video today. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope this video brings a smile upon your face in a world where they trying to stress you out, trigger you, trying to get you to spend more money than you actually have and things of that nature. So let's deal with this, man. Let's deal with this. We're going to look at a couple of things. Like I said, this is from the Office of the United States Surgeon General. And his first name, like Swami something, Swami Vivek. That's not his name, but it sound like it and it feel like it. So you can Google the United States Surgeon General. I think he is a good dude. You know what I'm saying? I think he is a good dude for putting out this report because this is the spirit of the age, right? You're gonna meet a young lady. She got her a nice vehicle. She got her a studio apartment and she got her a job, right? And that studio apartment is low key kicking her ass. That job is kicking her ass. But she got on some decent sized leggings. She got a pretty face and whatever. She just living life, right? Never once thinking that, man, I need to engage with people. sitting in this studio apartment looking halfway decent ain't the way for life for me, because motherfuckers say, "Ooh, girl, you cute." That ain't the end all be all to life. Like understanding social connections, and after this picture that we go through, we going to talk about the three major tenets to having a strong social connection, so you don't be out here crashing out. Because at the end of the day, when shit really happens or when shit really go down, who you gonna run to? Give me a second. I had to tell them, man, just give the baby whatever he want. You know what I mean? Like, do not agitate him first thing in the morning, because the youngest is the biggest. So this is what we have to deal with in this house. Like, the youngest got the best hands. Like, he real live boss baby. So we all adhere to the youngest around here. So with that being said, let's deal with this. These are national trends, bro. Since, let's just say, since phones been in your hand, man, this is the first time. Yesterday I had the thought, first time ever I ever had it was, damn, man, I'm gonna probably have to just not deal with these electronics. I'm like, damn, because I'm literally setting my life up right now to be like electronic free, right? I'm doing shit behind the scenes like this in my personal life to live a life that if the electromagnetic grid shut down, I would be sufficient, right? Because I feel like the computer is cool and I love it and I love y'all and I love, moving and grooving. But what if the electromagnetic grid fell down? Like, what would I actually be able to do? So I've been moving my life, like, spirit has been moving me into those types of steps. So I've been making big, big steps, just for me personally, just in my terrestrial life. But I think a lot of it is more of like a social thing for me because, like, I mean, I'm out and about for real, but I'm not like social for real, because I've been an internet kid since 1996. Like, I was there at the, damn, can't even, my mind be having mad types of blanks. But I want to say Boston, but it wasn't Boston. Damn, Jamaican. I would have to come back to that. But I lived in like this small section of Boston, like right outside of Boston, and it wasn't Jamaica. It was Jamaica Springs. I want to say Jamaica Springs, but that don't sound right. Something Jamaica, right? And I lived there for 2 years, but I can't even remember the name of the place that I lived. But there was a public library there. I was living there in 1996, and it was a flyer that said, on such and such date we got computers and we got the internet, and if you want to sign up, you know what I'm saying, you better sign up now because it's going to be a long ass waiting list. So I was like number 10 on that list. Like, the first day that the library got computers, the first thing I did when I got on the computer is type yahoo.com and just read that shit, like the news and this shit. Like, but I would go there every day since 1996. That's 1996. What year is it now, guys? It's 2023. How long is that? My mind can't even do math. If you got 1990s math, 2000 math, 2010, 2020 math, that's just too much math for me. So I've been on the computer for a long ass time. I mean, I got real friends and real life and real family and all of that, but I've also like been in this like world of understanding things that is outside of myself, outside of my jurisdiction, and just learned how to expand myself or even educate myself, right? educate myself using these devices to whereas I never really been to college or never been to school, but that hadn't stopped my education. So the internet is super duper cool and it's a lot of different shit that you can do on it, but in reference to how it fucks you up is that it isolates you in a big, big way. One of the main things for black people is dating sites and social media. And we use social media as a dating site, right? Everything for black people is a dating site is a way to like, how y'all hook up? We met on Twitter. Like, how is that even fucking possible? Like, how is me making fucking jokes? Yeah, I never met anybody on Twitter. Like, never, like, that's not even a fucking, I can't even imagine that shit. But the deeper down the rabbit hole you go to meeting people on the internet is that hey, if you meet a cool motherfucker from the internet, congratulations, bro. You in the motherfucking you in the game, like you in the championship, like you LeBron James of this internet shit. The most of us, when we meet people on the internet, it is jarring. It is disorientating. It is like, what the fuck just happened, right? Because what we do not understand is a long period of time that people have like literally been in a space of loneliness and isolation to the point that they feel like they a lot of people have normalized isolation and loneliness. It's people like it's like 2003. You probably could have been young at that point or not even born or like super just kind of getting into your adolescence, whatever, but they put a phone in your hand. They put a computer in front of your face and said, this is what you need to figure out. This is what you need to learn. Right. But what they didn't do is say, get your ass outside. Right. So, I'm fortunate because I live like the best of the both worlds. Like, as much computer shit that I do love, I also like being out in nature and, like, put like forgetting that I even have a computer, forgetting that I even have a phone for as long as I possibly can. Like, I'm that type of person too. And me, I'm just like, I will post a video every day type shit. Not because I'm trying to prove a point or trying to get views. It's just that I feel that it's so important to show up for other people on a consistent basis because that's what's needed for like connection, right? It don't matter. Y'all might see me with a haircut. Y'all might not see me with a haircut. Y'all gonna see me fat as fuck, but then y'all gonna also see me cut up and chiseled, things of that nature, right? You're gonna see the different varieties of me. But the only thing you can actually say that's a truth is that I show the fuck up, you know? And for me, that's very important because for me, it's all about connection at the end of the day. And showing up, I've met some amazing people and talked to and dealt with some great, wonderful people, but in the midst of all of these wonderful people, it's some motherfucking crud balls, right? It's some motherfuckers like, what in the hell? And I think that this epidemic of loneliness that we are experiencing in our community, it got a lot to do with these damn phones, right? It got a lot to do with this social media and how it distorts and fucks with your brain, right? And the United States of Surgeon General is not going to tell you that. They just going to give you, you know, the science, right? The objective truth. But the hood mystic going to give you the magical or subjective truth of it and understanding that, man, let's deal with the collective unconscious. Let's take 5 minutes to meditate on the collective unconscious, right? Because the collective unconscious is like the internet, but it's within yourself. social isolation, an increase of 24 hours per month. So that means that the time that you used to spend with others, you took in 24 hours, a whole day, to spend it by yourself. And this gets into the narratives of self care and self love, and I need this after this toxic relationship. But we're talking about a spirit. If all of y'all is saying the same shit, it's not in reference to a revelation of your own. It is of the mind control of Cain and his Canaanites that is sent to really come here and destroy your brain through these electronic devices, because we imagine that the whole planet imagines that it needs these things or these things make it better. But like a hospital where, yeah, it's good that y'all can put a cast on my broken arm, but then it's fucked up that you giving us these pharmaceutical medicinals that's giving us mad side effects, that's making us double back to get more medicinals, that's giving us even more side effects. Then now we got to triple back, and you know the cycle never ends. So hospitals give us good and bad, but also the electronics give us good and bad. And if I was so like high and mighty to say that I was above and beyond it, then I would give y'all the actual solution to bypass it. But like the Surgeon General, we could also like speak to a problem, right? And be like, we could also identify a spirit, and then figure out what we're gonna do about it. So household, family, social engagement. To whereas this is the most important thing about loneliness. Just because you in a relationship don't mean that your partner ain't lonely. And I don't know what you can do to facilitate honesty out of another person. I've tried that many times with many different people, and it's a hard thing to establish, right? Getting my charger. My camera might go out, but we'll get it back on. Back like cook crack. All right. So just because like this is why I go so hard with shadow work. This is why I go so hard with relationships, because being in a relationship and being alone does not feel good. And I would say being alone doesn't feel good, right? But being in a relationship and being alone does really not feel good. So not until me and my wife started going through shadow work and started to be having the real conversations that was at the pit of our souls was we able to actually come together and have true conversations. Because to operate on the surface level within a relationship, it gets very, very difficult, right? So learning how to have these conversations and get deep, deep. Like say for instance, you with somebody right now and you really like this person, and whatever the case may be, get deep today, right now. Try to get as deep as possible with the person that's standing in front of you, right? So you're not so lonely. Loneliness exists on the surface. Loneliness exists in lace front, weaves, makeup, nice cars, fancy clothes, designer clothes, clubs. I'm telling y'all all of the places that loneliness exists at. Why? Because it's not able to get beneath the surface. All of these things is surface things. Wanting to experience a better and more expansive life, so you don't actually figure out how to do it, you just wish for it, and then you project your desires on your man or your wife, and now you're looking at them a little differently, so now you're not communicating with them. what is the inverse of this? If you were able to get deep with your partner, y'all would conquer the world. Y'all would take over the world, and y'all would have a more reliable connection. And of course, we'll talk about the three major tenets of building a social connection. So I need y'all to stay until we get to that point. Because if you find yourself alone, there is a way to get yourself out of this, right? Because if you find yourself alone or you feel like you're lonely, you're not alone. There's a lot of people, there's millions of people. According to the Office of the United States Surgeon General, there's a lot of people who struggle with being lonely. Let's go to companionship. Ooh, a decrease of 14 hours per month. So what are we doing? If we not having companion, what are we doing? We on our phones, we in our homes, we're watching TV, we're working, we're relaxing, we're just wanting to be alone. We need time to decompress. But there's a deeper thing that's happening here. We're very irritable. And then I'm looking at a lot of things. I'm looking at a lot of domestic violence. So it's like really how we're choosing people is real fucked up. And then we get real deep into a situation and we don't know how to get back. And it's just like there is no rules to this shit no more. It's just kind of like there is no guidance. There is no dad saying, okay, there, I, like I said, I live in the best of both worlds. I know what it's like to be on the internet and finding somebody, but I also know what it's like for my aunties who know other women to say, "Oh, Kyrie, I know this great girl. Y'all the same age. Y'all would be real compatible for one another." When you young, right? This is how you meet great people. If you're not doing it like that, if you're not doing it like that, if you're not showing up for your community, if you're not showing up for the people around you and your feminine abilities to who you are as a woman and just showing up every day, nurturing to people around you, like then people will be like, "Oh, you single? I know this great guy. I'm a introduce y'all." Let's say, for instance, you isolating yourself and you just imagining yourself to be this great person, and you might be this great person, but the question I'm gonna ask you is who you showing up for? Because how you just great in your own mind, how you just great in your own crib. And then when we say showing up for people, starting some shit, starting a sister circle, starting a coven, starting some shit, but then not going the full thing, not showing up every day. It's 2023. That energy, that spirit, it has to die. Y'all have to evaporate that spirit. Y'all got to start to show up every day for y'all collective. Because we're talking about social connections. We're talking about making it your business. What do you mean make it my business? Well, if you went to name a store. Put a store in a comment. Any store in the comment, and we're going to explain how we make it our business. And we talking about an actual store, right? Not an online business, but name a store. Right now, it's Friday, 10:05 a.m. Peace to everybody. How do you make it your business? How do we make society and our connections our business? What do you mean by that, Hood? Name a store and I'll explain it to you very clearly so we don't have any confusions when we say, I make y'all my business. Y'all are my business. So I gotta show up for y'all. If I can show up, I will show up. Today I wanted to go to the gym and I still am going to the gym. Kasha, if you went to Family Dollar right now, would it be open or would it be closed? It's 10:05 a.m. See, Family Dollar is showing up for their community. Family Dollar make it its business to open its doors at 9 a.m. Monday through Sunday. And whether or not they got the toilet paper that you went there for, or whether or not they got the goddamn chips that your kids want, is besides the point. They open, you can walk in, and you can look around. So when you have social connections, that's how, and if they're your business, you show up for them. So like a social club, think of the concept of a social club. People go to the social club like it's their job, right? If you might not have a family member who is a Knights of Columbus or something, it ain't like, all right, I might go. I don't know. He going to that shit at a specific time, and what is he doing? Probably just talking, shooting the shit. Bath and Body Works. If you go to Bath and Body Works right now, Bath and Body Works make it their business to open their doors at a specific time so you can show up to them. So when we have friends, and I'm gonna tell y'all how y'all don't show up for y'all friends and family. Hey, you think you could I'm having this thing on Friday. You think you could come? Yeah, I'm gonna come. Friday come around. Ah, you know what, girl? Something came up. Knowing damn well you just don't feel like going. You ain't feeling. So your friends, your family ain't your business. You haven't made them your business, but I've come from a time and a place and a people that family was the business. Showing up for each other was the business. The neighborhood was the business. It even get to the term of uh why you in my business, right? Everybody in my business, right? Because that's how we just was. But in this time, and in this time and day and age, like best of both worlds. I don't know if this is good or not. I don't know shit about my neighbors now. I haven't known shit about my neighbors for the past 20 years. Like it's been decreasingly less and less and less and less and less to the point where it's what up. No, but I'm in like Detroit is a little different, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a majority of black people, so you do have conversations with people, but we not in each other's business. I tell you that for sure. That's 100% for a fact. Motherfuckers is minding they fucking business to a T, right? But it's also leading to loneliness. So depending on if you got a strong family structure and you mind your business, that means you mind your family's business. That means you probably got a lot to take care of. But say for instance you by yourself and all you doing is caring about yourself every single day. Even if that felt good, even if I could travel all over the world, I don't feel like that's healthy for me. You know what I'm saying? It might be healthy for you, but then it ain't no epidemic of love from your children, right? That's not an epidemic, right? That's just something that feels good that's still happening if you have children. Like y'all can explain to me a vacation that y'all went to and came back from, but it's hard for me to explain to y'all looking at my youngest son turn into a little boy. So it's like kids go from like they have this long period from like 0 to 3 where they're babies. But like you get used to them, but you kind of don't get used to them because they go and transform into a boy, right? And I'm seeing this happen for the fourth time. So when they transform from a baby to a boy, it's like they crack open the egg and this is the person that they're going to be. But as they are as a baby, it's like they give you glimpses and you can't they face ain't the same. They go through a complete and utter metamorphosis. And this is the experience that I have with my children. And no, we don't travel the planet and live in exotic places and no shit like that. But that shit is fucking amazing to me. Like seeing that transformation and that development times four. So once again, I could explain that to y'all and be like, this is so amazing. And y'all could tell me of like a trip that you took that was so amazing. And maybe I'll be like, that's not really for me. And I'll tell you about the kid and you'll be like, that's not for me. But once again, there is not an epidemic of your child love falling in love with your children, right? It's an epidemic in loneliness. So I'm just trying to elucidate some realities for you if you can begin to understand these types of things. Social engagement with friends, a decrease of 20 hours per month. That goes without saying. Most people don't have friends, don't have the capacity for friends for whatever reason, especially if you're by yourself. If you're by yourself, right? If you're a person that is single and an adult without children, you don't have time for nothing else but work. If you are single with children, You don't have time for nothing else but work. So life will show you, has shown you that when you do shit outside of work, your shit is going to fuck up, and then you're going to have to build yourself back up by yourself. This is why the world is not built to be by yourself. That's why it's a bunch of homes and not a bunch of single studio apartments scattered all over the country. It's homes with multiple rooms that can fit multiples of bodies. There are nuclear families. There are roommate situations. There are covens. There are all types of things. So the deepest thing with connecting to people and building with your friends is doing shadow work, so you are not projecting your bullshit on them. That's 1,000,000% of what's going to happen when you get around people. You got shit going on within yourself that you don't do shadow work about, and you project it. So now is, I can't fuck with nobody. No, you haven't dealt with some shit. Now is, I can't trust nobody. You haven't dealt with no shit. Oh, now I'm triggered. I signed up for it. I was dealing with it, and then this bitch did this thing that I don't like, and now I can't deal with it. Let me go back to my cubby hole where I'm safe, my comfort zone. This is why there is no social engagement with friends. Non-household family social engagement. Non-household family social engagement. Once again, this is something that's like, if you do have a family, you can, like, if it's an epidemic of loneliness, I would imagine it to be layered. So I wouldn't be looking at one specific situation and say, hi, I have a relationship, I'm not lonely. I have a family, I'm not lonely. You're single, you're lonely, I'm not. I wouldn't look at it like that. I would look at it more of a psychological process that you could be surrounded by people and be the loneliest person. Not advocating for people to be alone, though. I'm advocating for people to do shadow work, understand shadow work. That's what I'm advocating for, because shadow work is everything that I feel about you is how I feel about myself, but I'm too immature to come to that realization. And no matter how you cut the cookie, no matter how you slice the apple, it's always going to resort to, it's his fault, not mine. She did it, I didn't do it. So why would you even engage with a person if you know that's what you're going to revert to, and you know you got this, place that you can run to? Social engagement with others, a decrease of 10 hours per month. So, like, my grandma and grandpa, they went to bingo. I don't know if y'all niggas is going to bingo. When I was growing up, we used to go to the mall. I mean, there is no actual place. Like, even now, the things for which, like, it's real crazy, because you either getting everything for free, or you paying $300 a week for extracurricular activities. So you got to really think. That's $300 a week times 4. That's $1,200 a week. I got 4 kids. So if you want to do 300, and they say, like, we make too much money, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1,200. Now, I told y'all, my math get to crazy when you start adding more and more numbers. What's 12 times 4? That's $5,000 a month for extracurricular activities. $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month. I mean, damn. Damn. And then we say, well, welfare, mothers is on welfare, and they won't allow the fathers back into the home. Well, I kind of understand. Shit. If you want your kids to go to an after school program, why don't you just get an apartment across the street while we put these kids? Because what the fuck? That's $5,000 a month. that we could be like, all right, bitch, let's put these kids into motherfucking Head Start for free. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that. Title 20, daycare, you got one kid, $300 a month, $300 a week times four, that's $1,200 a month. If you're like, I don't know where y'all, what y'all doing on y'all OnlyFans. I don't know where y'all getting these jobs from. I don't know what type of crack y'all selling, what y'all stretching it with. You know, I don't know what y'all putting in y'all shit, what type of weed y'all sell. I don't know what y'all doing to make y'all money. But this shit is just real wild out here as far as what motherfuckers will pay for versus what you gotta pay for. So bring this all up to say, what if you built a community within your community where mothers and fathers could have a place where they could drop their fucking kids off but not get taxed? Like, cut that in half or cut it in a quarter and then times it by 20. You know what I'm saying? That's nice money for you. Now, the thing about it that we got to really wrap our minds around as conscious people is that we're going to have to deal with the logistics of building things that are real, right? So the licensing and the state and the get all of your title, whatever, so you can be starting to accept things. And now you have an official daycare center versus some illegal shit that you got, right? Beyond that. But yeah, so you have a community and a social connection with the mothers and fathers in your community. And then you also providing a valuable service to those around you, and you making a lot of money. One's in the chat if that makes sense, because I know that I'll be talking a lot of bullshit, but I want to know if that makes sense to y'all as to what a person could begin to do to establish social connections and make some money. The three vital components of social connection. The extent to which an individual is socially connected depends on multiple factors. So what I said earlier was that it's multi-layered of how people can be lonely. It's not just saying, oh, I'm in a relationship, I ain't lonely. Oh, I got kids, I ain't lonely. No, it is multiple layers. It's psychological. Even deeper, regular hood mystic terms, it's time to do some fucking shadow work and get to the real ball breaking reason why you want to isolate yourself and why you can't connect to people. And then imagine your life. I daydream and fantasize about having a community and connections with people, not attachments. Is a big difference. So let's understand as a collective how we build these connections, because it's okay to, you know, bang that Brian McKnight from time to time and go back to one. You feel me? Structure, function, and quality. Okay? The thing that jumps out to me is quality. Right? Because you can fuck with niggas in the hood and niggas that have you going back and forth to the store for a goddamn Schlitz malt liquor bull. Like, okay, this is what we doing again? We drinking more malt liquor? I think I'm gonna pass. We smoking Reggie, drinking beer again. Good Mystic, you said we building the social connection, but these niggas got me drinking 40s. I don't like this, nor do I understand this. So once again, quality is what jumps out to me. Structure, function, and quality. Structure, the number and variety of relationships and frequency of interaction. So the structure of what is the structure of your social connection? Your household size. So this could be multiple family households. Why can't 2 people come together, 3 people come together, 4 people come together and say, in order for a healthy and successful social connection, we're going to buy a big house. And when we talk about social connections, and the reason why I think they feel so good, this is just my opinion because I've never actually experienced it, because I'm experiencing this epidemic myself, right? You know, when we talk about an epidemic, we can't just point the fingers. We got to kind of assume some type of responsibility, right? So we could begin to stop the disease and stop the virus and begin to heal and take personal responsibility for that healing process. I don't think that the United States Surgeon General put out this article so nobody could read it and nobody could share it. I think the purpose in the season and the energy in the spring that we are in is planting the seeds for coming together. So understanding the structure is paramount, because what is the inverse of this? Oh, what's up, hood? I'm thinking that I want to do this thing that I'm not really clear on, and yeah, I'll get back to you in a couple weeks with more details. All right, then, bye. How many friends do you need? Do you need 10 friends? Do you need 2 friends? I don't know if I made my point, but let me get back to it. One of the major benefits of a social connection is that it makes your life easier. This is why it feels so good. But once again, if you don't have a structure and you only have an idea, then you're like 99.9% of the spiritual community, just talking about shit because it sound good, because it feel good, because it look good. But in all actuality, it don't amount to shit. Excuse me, because it's lacking structure. You like when we talk about seduction. I don't know where this came from, but this is just an example. You can't be a seducer if you don't know who you seducing, and this is the major key. Like, you just want to seduce a random nigga, then that's not seduction. Seduction is having a target, seducing that target, fixating on that target. So that's a particular structure to seduction that I feel like on the onset of seduction, you just think that if it's just a random occurrence. So it's like, well, I don't understand what seduction is and how to pull people. And it's like you gotta really seek out your target, learn your target, and the more you learn about your target, the more irresistible you become to your target. This is how you seduce. Now, one would say, and especially if you have a particular energy, like if you look a certain type of way, but the reality is, it's a lot of people who have seduced a lot of powerful people and they don't look like nothing, but how much they know about this person is more of like, it's a value to have this person close to you. Because sometimes, if you can say, I know more, if you can have a person that's with you, an assistant, a secretary, that you would be like, well, this person know more about me than I know about me. They know what I want for breakfast. They know what I want for lunch. They know how I want my balls rubbed. You feel what I'm saying? It get to a point where you just like, man, I got to keep this person with me at all times. This is also a social connection. This is also a structure. This is also how you actually get close to people, by knowing what you want. I'm talking to spiritual people, and I know spiritual people, their main hang up is that they don't have a real idea of what they want. So they're not going to get the license for a daycare center. They're going to do a ritual for a daycare center, when the reality is you don't need a ritual for a daycare. If it's already happened before, you don't need a ritual for it. You just need to follow the steps. Spirituality, my thing for spirituality, this might be right or wrong, but I do it just because. I don't do it for a particular reason. I used to try to do shit, do spells for shit, and it always backfired and it just went the opposite way. So now I just in the spirit of doing spells. So marital and partnership status in reference to a social connection. So very major and vital, and this is another place where shadow work comes in at, because y'all want to talk about being in a relationship, like y'all want the wedding but y'all don't want, I mean, I'm sorry, did I say that right? Y'all want the wedding but y'all don't want the marriage, where the marriage is something that you are going to be committed to, that you're going to show up for, that you're not going to be emotional about. It's a structure, it's a thing. It's something that you are committed to, from like your vow should mean something to you. So if it's for 10 years, 20 years, say that. But it's for death do you part, then say that and mean that and understand the structure. Don't bring your emotions into it. Don't be like, well, he don't make me happy. She don't make me happy. You're supposed to make your own self happy. We talking about real shit here. And the problem is, the reason why we have this epidemic of loneliness is because you can get into these relationships for all the wrong reasons. And a lot of people be lonely for, I'm not saying who's right, I'm not saying who's wrong, but it's a lot of people who are in a relationship right now lonely as hell because there is no real structure to what the relationship is going to look like long term, because there was never any true connection to begin with. It might have been beneficial, it might have been something that you could rely on, something you could count on, but what does this look like? What is the structure of it? Okay, what is the function of the relationship? What is the function of the connection? What are we doing here? Oh, we're just drinking beer and smoking weed. That is the function. So, what is the true function of this relationship? To get cirrhosis of the liver and be broke as hell. What and this is why I feel like having a social connection is so powerful, because now we can get our needs met. One's in the chat if that's a powerful thought. One's in the chat if that's a powerful idea and a powerful concept that you could begin to meditate on. Why is a social connection so important? Because now we can get our needs met. Why would a social connection be unimportant? Because, or why would a lack of a social connection be unimportant? Because we're unable to get our needs met by ourselves. It's impossible. We should never even have tried that. We should have never even thought that it could happen. Whatever seed that was placed in us to say we could do it by ourselves, we need to rebuke that seed. We want to, if we say I need this or we want this or we desire that, then the first step would be a social connection, not to figure out how we can do it by ourselves. Because if you can't provide a way, like if I give you an idea and within my idea is nothing that's going to help you specifically, you know what people going to do to your idea? Ignore it. Like, I don't know. Oh, that's a good idea. We gonna work on it, blah, 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 and then be on some other shit. Why? Because it didn't meet their needs. It might have met your needs, but we got to actually think about interdependence. We got to think about, if I'm giving to you, what am I receiving? Like, we got to be able to have these real ass conversations about getting our needs met in our relationships. And if you single and you dating and you serious about this person, you got to figure out how you going to meet that person's needs. Can you meet that person's needs? If you got kids and a job, you cannot meet that person's needs. Wait until you get a full-time babysitter. Wait until your kids get out the house. Wait until they get a little bit older and you get a little bit more free time. But if you telling a man you got shit to do before him, then leave that man alone. Because you're not meeting his needs. You're not meeting his needs. And that's not okay. You're meeting my needs, Jesse. Hello. Get out real quick. Get out real quick, bro. I'll come back and get you when I'm done. Thank you. Jesse got triggered. Like, what you mean my needs not being met? So examples. Emotional support. That's a big one. That's a big one. Emotional support. We would have to have a whole nother video on that one right there. How do you serve someone's needs by providing emotional support? Because when you talk about emotions, you're talking about things that are unreliable, unconscious, and in general, you got to be a soldier when it comes to emotions, because sometimes you just got to be there. For a man, for a woman, for a person, for your child, sometimes you just got to be there. And sometimes they could just be crying or they could just be in their feelings. And you just gotta, cause if you say something or if you try something, it's gonna make it worse. So sometimes you just need to be that supporting. I don't know about y'all. Maybe you don't have that. You don't have that, right? You don't have that. So when you break down or when you crying and you going through what you going through, you doing it in silence. You doing it alone, and you don't got nobody to just share space with you when your unconscious is rising to the surface. Because I know you want to be strong. I know you want to be smart. I know you want to be all of these things that you imagine yourselves to be. And sometimes we fall short. And when we fall short, this is when our emotions come to the surface. Now, it's a way that we process and deal with our emotions, and it's through others. Now, you have two people. One person, they experience the same thing, but the one person over here, they never express it. But the other person over here has a tribe of people who don't judge them, that allow them to process their emotions so they can get past it. Who you think is going to be the most well-rounded and healthy person at the end of the day? This is why social connection is so important. This is why being a boss babe with a studio apartment don't really make sense when you are suffering from an epidemic of loneliness, according to the United States of Surgeon General. I'm sure he ain't come up with this by himself. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people. You can Google it, the epidemic of loneliness, May 1st, 2023. So all of this shit that you're trying to do by yourself in the name of spirituality, you need to rebuke that seed. Spirit don't want you to do the shit by yourself. It ain't nothing blocking you. It ain't no hex. You wouldn't even have thought of this if you had a community that would support you emotionally. You wouldn't even have thought this if you could be able to process what you're going through. And somebody talking to, like, bro, it's so much that can happen when you could just express yourself. It's so much clarity that comes out of expression. But the reality is that if you don't got nobody sitting next to you, if you don't got nobody sitting in front of you, you can't express yourself to yourself. Your eyeballs can't look at your other eyeball. Your nose can't smell itself. Your mouth can't talk to itself. Your mouth can't talk to its own ears. Not in a good way. In a very toxic way. And then you look at these communities. You look at these people. And they're so alone and they're so isolated. What does that birth? Does that birth healthy, well-adapted people? Or does that birth fucking sociopaths? Y'all answer that question and look around. And then y'all on Tinder dating. That's like playing Russian roulette, if you want to be honest. Mentorship. This is a big one. This is a big one. And to not have mentorship, and then to have somebody fill that role, it looks like you get triggered by a person who telling you what to do and what not to do, especially if you think you got it all figured out by yourself. Support in a crisis. If you had a community, if you had a social connection, there would be little to no crisis unless it was a collective crisis, because your first inclination is to be interdependent and know your roles within society and know where other people's roles is at within the society. And hopefully it's a transparent, open understanding of ebbs and flows of energy. Cool. But then, because we are in 2023, because inflation is at an all-time high, unemployment is at an all-time high, crisis is at an all-time high, and being alone is at an all-time high. It's a perfect storm for mental health breakdowns and spiritual people talking this spiritual shit, but not even understanding the body, not even understand how to calm the fuck down, is only going to exacerbate your breakdown. At a certain point, if I just started talking about this, be a one thing, but I'll be talking about this for years. At a certain point, you're going to have to calm down and let your parasympathetic system take over and lead you and guide you to where it's wanting to guide you. Being alone is always a crisis. It can't be nothing but a crisis. So when you talk about the epidemic of loneliness, according to the United States of Surgeon Generals, this crisis is happening times a million over. It's millions of people who are alone and isolated, and they have the statistics, but then we don't want to focus on the problem. We want to focus on the solution. You can't never say that you won't experience a crisis. But you can also say, one second. So we about to finish this up because Jesse is saying that it's too long for his for his let me get him real quick. Maybe that'll quiet him. Give me 1 second. Gotta be quiet, okay? Gotta be quiet. I got one more point to do. We talking about social connection, Jesse, okay? Okay. So the last the last thing we want to talk about is quality. Quality of our social connections. Like I started off, this is the thing that jumped off to me the most important because it's one thing to have connections to people, but it's another thing of having a quality connection to people. And I feel like as far as the internet go, the only type of connections y'all be really having is pimp and hoe connections where you paying a spiritual pimp and you are the spiritual hoe and they just tell you what to do and what not to do, things of that nature. To me, that's not quality, right? To me, that's not quality. Quality is where you can be so transparent and so open and so wrong and so right, and there is an understanding. So they define it as the positive and negative aspects of relationships and interactions. And I really love that because when we talk about a relationship, y'all know that I'm on bullshit, right? Y'all got to understand that I'm on bullshit, but I also love y'all. So know for a fact that I'm gonna always be on bullshit and I'm gonna always love y'all. And I'm gonna always, if it's some shit that I just go and call out, I'm gonna call out. If I'm right or wrong, I'm wrong or right. That's the reality of it. I'm not giving it to you all good and I'm not giving it to you all bad. I'm gonna give it to you good and bad. That's just how it is. I feel like that's quality because in my lifetime, 38 years old, seeing multiples of relationships, the best type of model for a relationship, in my humble opinion, is the relationship between a pimp and a hoe. Ironically, because that's a positive relationship and it's a negative relationship. I feel like the most toxic relationship is the monogamous relationship between a man and a wife. I feel like you need to add a little spice to every relationship. It should be a little bit of toxicity in every form of relationship to call it a quality relationship. I feel like if you got a Cinderella, happy go lucky, everything perfect relationship, a freak, it's not going to affect me when you do some kind of slutty, hoish, freaky shit because that's what you are. That's what you said you are. And I don't have a problem with it. That's actually why I'm fucking with you in the first place. So quality is essentially, and I think that the United States of Surgeon General agrees with me, the quality of a relationship is in reference to doing shadow work. He said it, he got it in the orange black print. The quality of, imagine a nigga telling you the quality of this relationship is that we doing positive shit and negative shit, ho. What degree of negative shit is you about to get into? None? Oh, we can't do it. This is a low quality relationship. We got to have positive aspects and negative aspects. So let's deal with this. Relationship satisfaction. Once again, you ain't never been in a relationship where you've been satisfied until you dealt with an honest woman. And usually, an honest woman is a hoe. I'm sorry to tell y'all that. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. And if I told secrets that I wasn't supposed to tell, I apologize for that. I'm gonna tell you, this type of satisfaction that you thinking that you having by being a good girl, you ain't giving that. Read that. Relationship strength. Imagine the strain that you put on a person by being a perfect person. Like imagine you trying to like somebody like I'm trying to get into a relationship, so I'm just trying to be perfect. I'm a become a perfect person so I can attract a person, and then you just perfect. And it's like, well, what negative aspects are you bringing to this? None at all. And then 10 years, you know what I'm saying? This is why shit be happening in relationships, and it be like 10 years later, you be having kids. Y'all heard about that shit that happened in Michigan? I ain't even gonna say what happened, but it was some domestic violence and it went left. And they had kids together. And now their kids don't have a mother and a father. Because at some point, motherfuckers thought it was all good when it wasn't all good. And that's the craziest shit to me. To be in a relationship with somebody. To be in a relationship with somebody and it turned out bad because you ain't really suss out the quality of that relationship. So, I think that when you look for perfect, that's a lack of shadow work. But if you're willing to do the shadow work, you're going to see the positive, the pros, and the cons. And you're going to see, all right, this is what we got to work on. This is our strengths. And another part of quality relationships is having the conversation. Me and my wife was talking this morning just about life and just regular shit. And I just was thinking, like, damn, me and my wife, we talk a whole bunch about a whole bunch of different shit. And I just thinking how people just don't have a person in their life that they can actually talk to just about shit. Like, I don't know what we was talking about. We was just watching a YouTube video and we was just talking. She was telling me about her how she grew up around a whole bunch of married people and how it's so weird that it's single bitches out here. And I was just like, girl, everybody I know in my family is single. She's like, I've been to so many weddings, and I'm like, I ain't never been to one wedding. Like, I never really been to a legit wedding for real that I can remember from my family. So I just say we just be having conversations, and I really hope that we could bring. I hope that you can have that in your life. I really hope that you can have somebody in your life that you could just talk to about shit. Good shit, bad shit, fat shit, skinny shit, black shit, white shit, up shit, down shit, and just be talking and just be like, this is everything. And a person not looking at you like, um, I only want to hear the good shit. Y'all ever been in a relationship where y'all just talking and a person be like, well, you telling me shit that I don't want to hear. Don't tell me that. Just only tell me what I want to hear. That's not a quality relationship. Social inclusion or exclusion. And so I guess that would be a double-edged sword. Like, what's your matter? Mm-hmm. I'm almost finished. Okay. That would be a double-edged sword. You want to get down? Okay. It's like you got to be real smart about it because you don't want to have like no weird cult type shit. We talk about social connection. So we're talking about freedom, transparency, openness, not talking about locking people into a fucking basement, no shit like that unless you get into that type of shit. DM me. Um you would have to go to my Findom page, which is Black Snickers. But don't ask no questions about that. That's just some other shit. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video because this little boy having his he needs emotional support. So hope y'all got something from this video. Uh, I only looked at the first 2 pages of this, so I might read through this and talk about this some more because I think this is a big topic. I feel like we can all learn from this and we all struggle from this. Don't nobody want to hear you cry, bro. Yeah. The baby needs emotional support right now. So I will catch y'all on the flip side. Hope y'all have a wonderful day. Hope you think about this and strive to build a social connection in your own small way. Always remember that your net worth is connected to your network. So link with people in your community. It's people that need your help. It's people that you can receive help from. If you feel lonely, just know that you're not alone. And this is something that we should be able to take initiative in, right? And I hope that for you. I hope that for your family. And I'll see y'all on